terms of momentum, probably a little bit towards Griffin, but it's too hard to say. We've seen Griffin actually win one game after being down 2-0 in the summer finals against SKT and then lose the series. And we've seen Invictus Gaming pull back from attempted reverse sweeps like last year at Worlds against KT. So can't wait to see how this series continues to play out.
And we're looking for what's different in the pick and ban. LeBlanc knocked off the table. We looked at, the Game 3 draft. It looked so similar to the Game 1 until Garen and Yumi went away and other things came through. Griffin actually changing things up now that this is going to be the same sides as Game 2, where we had Invictus on the red. LeBlanc was a big factor there.
The blue side, Gragaspan has been what's dropped by Griffin in this game, so potential Ning or Tarzan. Champion, Jace is open. We already mentioned in solo queue, this is a three-way flex for Griffin, even to the bot lane as well. So no surprise, it is overall first pick.
And we didn't see a Kayle ban. So we know that the LeBlanc value with how well Rookie played it in Game 2 is still incredibly high. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a fairly high priority on Kayle by IG.
Maybe Gragas here as well, right? That's one champ that's been denied from Invictus every single time. They finally get it here. It is their go-to. Sorry, they did win a game with it, of course. That was the Yasuo game back in the very first one.
And that's why they drew a ban for it on the blue side last time. The change with the LeBlanc coming in. So far, no big surprise. Probably just going to be Xayah Rakan rounded out for the side of Griffin.
And Invictus opting into letting that matchup happen, right? They had the ability to say, no, we will take the Rakan or we will take the Xayah away. IG content to let Griffin play the same bot lane game after game after game.
And it's been working out pretty well for Griffin, actually.
Yes.
Viper was 7-0 at one point in Game 2 and ended Game 3 8-0. But here's also the Kayle we've been talking about. So in a lot of ways, these teams are still prioritizing exactly the same champions that they have for the whole series. Actually, not that much pure adjustment throughout the series, which I think is fairly fitting since these are two confident teams and all three games have been fairly close.
And it's that weird thing where Griffin lost Game 2 on the blue side with very similar champion choices, and yet, if you could have that 18 minutes over again, you kind of have to take it as a top team to be that far ahead with that strong an early game. And yes, made some fumbles, lost the game, but you can't be results orientated about the WL at the end with how great the early game went. So we'll see if they just go super standard blue side, get 2 games in a row on the side of Griffin.
Final bans come through, some more jungle pressure down, getting, again, rid of magic damage junglers. Gragas and Elise definitely top tier there. The Yasuo that was paired so well with Gragas last time, that one's gone.
Do you reckon Griffin could go Jarvan Galio again? Could they actually run back exactly the same team comp they had in Game 2 because they banned the LeBlanc, which was the one thing that found access onto Viper?
I think that or maybe Gnar AP jungler is a possibility as well with the Yasuo ban coming through. So I'm very interested to see if they just really do fully roll it back or find a hybrid.
Because the AP jungler would be Echo. I think actually with Lee Sin open, they probably go Lee Sin,
Taliyah,
AP mid.
It's a possibility here.
Taliyah jungle could also be something that a lot of the LCK teams have had huge priority on this Worlds.
Interesting to see the Lucian ban. He played that against Kayle. Talking about Rookie here, played that against Kayle, against Showmaker, won that game. Of course, they have the Kayle themselves, going to leave that one up to chance. We'll see where that ends up going. The Sion, we are expecting to go into the mid lane, but that can still move about based on how they want to play this one. I could easily see either player play that, and Jungle Karthus! Jungle Karthus is going to come through in this game.
There's the other AP jungler we hadn't mentioned.
It is another one, but it's one that actually really hasn't worked from Griffin when we've seen it in the past. They haven't been able to perform around this pick and find enough action because guess what? It's pretty hard to dictate a jungle matchup as Karthus in the early game. It's unlikely to be able to pull that off unless your team has lots of multi-step plans for invading. Aatrox, the final pick on the side of IG.
Karthus for Tarzan this year, 0-2, 0.8 KDA. It's been very bad when it's come out.
I've been trying to use broadcast language, Freak. It's definitely been pretty awful. And they just, unfortunately, tried to farm it out, fell behind. Jungler doesn't have CC to try to gank a lane, really. And then it just all falls apart. So, hoping they've had a lot of time in scrims to perfect it, because it's risky.
And look where the matchups are going, by the way. It's not Kayle farming against Sion, it's Aatrox trying to battle Sion. That damage is there early on. You can get lane priority early here for Rookie on the Aatrox. The Shy, we saw him fall behind Sword when that was a matchup a game or two ago, but came out late game to carry it through.
I'm really curious to see how the Aatrox Sion matchup plays because of the nerfs for patch 919 that hurt the Aatrox's wave clear. I wonder if he's just going to be a melee champion that gets shoved in, and they're hoping for maybe some type of gank assist, or if they can get priority over mid, then they can start controlling the river against the Karthus, who's going to be vulnerable.
The first 4 to 5 levels are actually as good or better. It's the mid to late game that Aatrox's wave clear now falls off in this world, so I'm expecting the early laning to be good. That remains to be seen, though, based on how the game actually plays out, though. But this is, once again, Griffin's backs against the wall. They've taken 1, they need to win 2 more straight, and they've gone to an unreliable jungle Karthus to seal the deal here, and then go into game 5 and do it all over again. Invictus Gaming, though, have moved Aatrox into the mid lane. They have the Shy, who is the best top laner in this matchup by far, back on the Kayle, back ready to carry. Leona coming in to help push forward as well. This is going to be an exciting game 4.
Out does IG roll from the fountain here. Griffin keep a lot of their pieces similar on their last game on the blue side. Honestly, over the series, once again, being gift-wrapped the Xayah Rakan. Feels like if we go to a game 5, that will not stay true.
You'd have to think so. And just to recap a little bit about how these teams got here, Griffin had one of the best individual days we've ever seen of Worlds on their second round robin, going 4-0, putting up a 7.2 kill to death ratio on that day. And then IG, while they did look good in group stage, did not win the group. They still have that World Championship roster. All 5 members now from that 2018 Worlds team starting here, jumped out in this series to a 2-0 lead despite some close games. Kind of all of us were holding our breath to see if Griffin would just kind of roll over and die. They did not in that game, and now we're in this refreshed series really to see if Griffin can continue to play solid games or if IG can find another crushing fight to end the series.
And the Karthus jungle is such a game warper. You know, he power farms through the jungle, but has famously never really had too much gank assist. A lot of casts out there, and I know you're out there somewhere, LS, want them to just power farm and press ult, and then just play that particular playstyle. And it works when your lanes are ahead. The moment you fall behind, don't have a lot of power to really influence the result from there. So you need a lot of planning and times into getting the right matchups and also just wave states to be able to allow Karthus to do his thing.
But also thinking about the way these lanes could play out, Xayah Rakan should be a favored 2v2 against Leona, even if there's some skill matchups at play and it can be close. The Jace should be able to beat the Kayle early, and if Chovy can get lane priority over Rookie, which at least at level 1 it looks like it can, they have the potential to play that 3-winning lane with the farming Karthus style.
But when the jungler comes in, you have states where jungle comes bot lane, puts down a control ward. If Leona at level 3 can take every Zenith Blade and not care at all about the enemy jungler, you will get counter kills there. So the jungle ability to impact lanes, you have one of the strongest ganking junglers versus at times a non-ganking jungler, and that just means a lot of power in Ning, which is, you know, a double-edged sword.
In this matchup right now, I think because of how little, actually, hold on, fight in the bottom side, pretty decent damage with Viper. One more hit would turn the passive on, turns back for it, gets it there, no root coming back there. But that is a very solid trade.
And those are the Leona E's that Papa Smithy was just talking about. Karthus isn't going to be there. Nope. You can just go. If that's a Lee Sin or a Jarvan, you're second-guessing whether or not you can go for that level 2 play.
Similar situations over in, ooh, this could be pretty exciting. Gets a couple of attacks in there for Rookie, but the top lane going similarly as well with how much pressure we're seeing. It's actually the Shy pushing in sword. Again, not afraid of a Karthus gank coming through. He's likely not to die, so able to farm pretty well so far. These lanes looking decent. We'll point out that Chovy doing well against Rookie in this mid lane.
Interesting, it was a matched full clear from Ning against the Karthus jungle here. So going camp for camp. I wonder if that does just mean that he's going to have pretty good idea about respawn timers on both sides and make a more informed contest on future spawns, but it does mean that Tarzan, he's faster. He's going to get the Rift Herald as top side.
Takes a turret shot for his troubles, and that's maybe not worth it. Still has some potions left. Klepto pulled one back, so that gets him half the turret shot back anyway. Ning's going to come by as... they'll get it. It's fine. He's okay. Grabs that one. Ning's like, okay, where'd the Scuttle Crab go?
It's still an unspotted Ning at the moment. If Sword ends up going for an over-aggressive trade, thinking that his jungler has river control.
I feel like burst range is maybe only about 400 health, though, you know, onto the Jace here just because it's Gragas Kayle. So because of that, probably not going to be finding anything, and obviously was revealed earlier. Tarzan continues to investigate, hoping there was camp skip.
That's a really good knockup, though. They almost get the root on a Jackie Love. That's a lot of damage knocked down, though.
Baolan spotting an entrance here. Probably going to stay in lane there. I don't think there was any chance Karthus would be bot side. Karthus is top side.
Yeah.
Hey, what can the Shy flash away from? Gets away from the wall of pain. No slow's going to be landed, so able to walk away. Dodges most of the skills, but not all of them. Takes a couple hundred damage.
Landing Karthus Q's on the Shy has got to be some type of nightmare. The fact that he landed one, I'm actually impressed with how well the Shy has been able to juke historically. So there was a little bit of time there for Tarzan to stick around. Although his Grump has respawned, and I wonder if Ning is actually able to counter jungle a little bit.
Pretty bro tier status.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the minimap backwards.
No worries. The bro tier status of just blowing Chaos Flash's jungle Karthus is more than you would expect necessarily out of lane impact. So that's something that Jace can potentially take advantage of. Lao's sword got the wave frozen for now under his turret. Will start to reset.
It doesn't seem like it denied any of the CS. That was a full wave still there on the Griffin side. And as the TP comes through for Sword, or the recall, I should say, comes through for Sword, looks like the Shy will be able to shove that in without much issue. So not going to do too much. Should reset no problem. Maybe even denies a CS or two. As the TP comes back to the turret itself, that actually will deny a very little bit of XP. And we look at the top lane now, reset again with fairly equal farm and arguably better items on Sword. Rookie still holding fairly equal in the mid lane, but Chovy is getting the better of this matchup. And it's going to, I think, continue to improve for a little while here.
Especially with Bomby Cinder, he'll be able to shove in quickly, but Ning hoping for that gank. Would have Predator boots, and Sword is looking to push up. Now's the time.
Very aggressive. This is the time to go for it. There's Predator pop right there, and Sword doesn't have an easy way away from the body slam. Blue smites first, gets knocked backwards, waits for the play, finally pushes them back in. Is there a way out? Oh, that's a really good flash. Gets the correct direction, but Sword certainly does die, and the optimal first blood goes to the Shy.
Beautifully done by Ning right there. There was always going to be that game of chicken about whether or not you're flashing or getting your body slam off, and he cuts him off enough to not let the Sword get away. And then, even though the Sword saw an opportunity for a counter kill, the Shy was in front, not letting the Shock Blast blow back to Ning. And the counterplay by Griffin, though, is to also get the Ocean Drake.
But it's tale of 3 KO lanes. We've seen 2 times from the Shy, 1 time from Sword, and always the Shy actually getting the meaningful leads in those matchups. It's obviously good to pick up an early Ocean Drake here. Even the Karthus is going to be a big fan of this.
Tarzan really wants to steal blue. It's relatively greedy, but he can kill it pretty fast.
On a ward, but no one's really around to stop this one. He's going to be able to claim that one. The smite even available if he needs it. Got to be able to save that one on top of it. That's a pretty big deal there. So early Ocean Drake, and the pickup on the blue is going to be nice on top of it.
Camp short of level 6 on the cusp. Going to see the replay here. A lot of patience being played by Ning. If you're going to flash, Sword chose the right time to do it. I wonder if there was a full disengage available for him.
Yeah.
Sword's read was no.
It was close. The Gragas Q was thrown out to prevent the flash back towards the turret, but now with a flashless Jace, who just has the wave in the wrong spot, the Shy's going to be able to zone him off for a while.
And that's why you might say, wow, early Ocean for Karthus. They're going to get quite a lot here, and yes, giving up a kill is not ideal, but the Drake is something. The issue is that now the Shy probably is going to always, at worst, go for CS, maybe even get more kills and get more ahead on KO. And we already know how that pays off in the late game. You have to hope the Karthus is worth it.
I want to see if the Shy is actually continuing that freeze, because if he holds that, he's going to be able to get a massive CS advantage. There's control ward supremacy in that top lane. Sword would basically have to push up past halfway without flash in order to even get farm, unless Tarzan goes up there and helps him shove it in.
Base of the mid-map, looks like he is, right?
Yeah.
Walk down the tri-brush, put a ward down. He's been fairly slow here, so this is certainly a lot of money being lost. You can see it's already level 6 to level 7, and it likely gets worse from here. As slowly but surely, he's gonna, okay, is it close to my turret yet? All right, finally we have Sword in range, but Sword has to, like, eke out some of this CS, right? Lands that Q, but another Cashman's going to die to the minions there, and the Shy lets the wave sit in front of his turret. A flashless Jace. How do you survive a Gragas gank?
You don't, is the reality on that one. Almost no outplay possible on that area, and that's why Jace is trying to roam, put down a control ward. He's trying to do what he can. Does have a spotting ward for most Gragas gank paths, but if you just hold it and use Predator, it might not matter. They know his E's on cooldown, so this is a Predator gank opportunity.
Looks at the sweeper. Where's the ward? There's the ward. Okay, that's sword running away. And once again, look at that cannon minion.
Yeah.
That's gone. The melee's gone. That's still farm denied. Now into the mid lane, though. Rookie gets all 3 sweet spots. Going to be not knocked up either. Starting to fight back now with 20 CDR in the build.
Either Sword needs to leave that lane and go somewhere else, or Griffin needs to force a play. And it looks like they might be looking to force a play bottom lane. They have the jungle upgrade on Karthus. He can just ult with the dive, and they can look to break this.
They're going.
Look for it. It's a sea of wards. Now Chovy is spotted. Now comes the reaction of IG. He's going to sit there to kill the ward off. 2 plays already taken. Tarzan's now here as well. Not going to battle land. He's tanky, but not that tanky. Gonna dive in. Tries to pull it back. Won't get anything here. And the Zion charges into the turret. But the mini wave mostly gone. Has to walk away. 1 for nothing is a decent pickup. But Jace was sitting there holding a mid lane wave. That's just farm being lost in the top side. But S-Bot's being pushed in. That's plate number 3. That's still a dead support. That's still gold in the pockets of Griffin.
Yeah, and it's a play to break the freeze without having to send Tarzan top lane, which is very important for them since that could have been a losing 2v2. Overall, very good teamwork by Griffin to help Sword out of a very tough situation.
It's one of those things where they understand what they have, which is the ability to pile on bot lane with a turret dive. Karthus jungle is not going to salvage a 2v2 lane with a Jason. It's just not what the kit does, so hang around. What you have is mid lane.
Body slam, flash, the ult, they all land everything. And again, a death onto Sword.
Last game, Griffin had 6 deaths, 5 of them were Sword. This game, it's all of the 2, but it's because IG is focusing him so hard and he's often left on the weak side. We talked about weak side Kayle, that's fine. Weak side Jace, on the other hand, doesn't have that fallback pattern.
Not a lot of escape tools, and Ning might be in a similar situation. Drinks the cask. Nice job by Chovy. Claims the scuttle. Could be a fight brewing, but that's not going to happen here.
Rift Herald will be a tool that IG could use to maybe force Chovy to come on their terms rather than make another roam play like he did a couple of moments ago. Sword just wants to stay away from as many people as possible. He wants to play some single player, so he's going to go bot lane for now.
Gotta find a place to keep him safe and not dying so much. Watch that mid lane fight again.
Yeah, Sword thought he was relatively safe, but just goes for the fast wave clear instead of the safe wave clear, and that was a big mistake.
Yep.
He could have just sat in range for him under his turret, never would have died. Instead, Ning is able to punish.
Back around the map we go. Different lane assignments as the second Ocean Drake is spawning in a few moments, but Rift Herald may be the more prized target. We check into the bottom lane. It's pretty much equal farm across the board. Of course, we had that one gank. That was nice. It got a kill in a Bao Lam, but it didn't really stop Jackie from farming. So that's staying equal. The Muramana or Manamune is done. That's going to be stacking up now, and we're closely approaching Viper having the Essence Reaver.
We have a comp here where it's single magic damage dealer Karthus, so the early purchase of Sorcerer's Shoes into Oblivion Orb with the jungle item is going to be something that IG can't really deal with. And speaking of not being able to deal with.
Yeah, the Shy is going to be hard to deal with. Look at that, 400 HP on Sword. Second dive would kill him. Now a fight in the top. Try brush. Ooh, that is big damage on an Ing.
And that might be enough for them to decide to peel towards the Rift Herald. Griffin really has to make the best of every 4v4 situation they have, because already the level 9 Kayle is unstoppable in the side lane. It only gets worse from there in the 1v1.
And it gets pretty bad in the 5v5, as we learned by the Shy's dive bomb flash in game number 2. So take your point, Jat. They're doing what they can. They need to actually confirm this Rift Herald.
Looking around, here comes the teleports in. This is going to be a fight.
Aatrox.
This could be series defining as Rookie comes down. And they have yet to send the Kayle, but here comes Jace now as well. This could be a smite fight. Who's it going to go to? Picked up, nicely done by Ning, but is there a way out? It's a 5v4, damage to the back line, 1 for 0 as the Shy has finally joined. And where does Sion go? Over the wall, but Chovy doesn't have a good exit path. The flash to chase in. Battleland and Jackie Love are here. Chovy flash, but to what end? He's going to drop down as well. The body slam for good measure. And Invictus Gaming get not just the Herald, but the kills as well.
Everything goes in IG's favor in that fight. They get the smite secure. They get the really quick kill onto Lehenz's Rakan as that goes in. So both teleports expended. The Shy only gets stronger, and they still have the Rift Herald to break this game wide open.
And IG able to actually increase pace this game because of the clear ticking time bomb that is a Kayle that's winning side lane early. Hence pre-pops the ult, comes in, but the steal from the Gragas and Sword's TP, unfortunately, it's a flank position, but it's another one of these positions where he really can't impact the fight at all.
And looking at the bottom left of that fight, Battleland just destroyed Lehenz. Lehenz didn't get to press a button other than the start of his ultimate before getting chain CC'd to death.
No out of the Karthus either, so Tarzan not really stacking up the, the harvest not happening. It's once again Chovy doing all the damage on Teamfight Sion, and you really want to see more out of your team in situations like that. You're seeing a whole crap ton out of the Aatrox and everything else. Now Jackie Love being moved into the mid lane. It's IG still finding places to be. Where do you put your assignments most optimally? Rookie takes some Raptors and lets the mid lane be cleared, but no one's top side, and that's important because that is gold that can go into the pockets. That's Griffin able to get some damage in this turret.
And they really need it. At this point, the slow control tank style that they played in Game 3 is just not going to cut it against what's happening in the side lanes of this game, as the Shy hasn't even hit level 11, but is still just a massive force. And the Ocean's going to be traded back as well.
First turret. He's as high level as anyone else on the Griffin side, only outnumbered by Rookie here on the one side, but Ning able to solo the Ocean Drake. Bot lane outer turret was first turret of the game. Griffin, yeah, they'll trade that back on the top side most likely. That's probably going to die, but it's IG still being faster and still getting more every single time.
It shows why those side lane targeting to get the Shy ahead can pay off in so many more ways than just kills as he goes for turret dive.
This is the Shy playing aggressively again. Nice knockback though. He's stuck in turret range. That's going to be a very warmed up turret. Has to get back there. 3v3 in this side of the map as it's IG's turn to run away.
So many objectives in the last couple of minutes have been impossible for Griffin to contest because the Shy is winning a side lane so strongly, and they were so telegraphed about Rift Herald because they couldn't just play the map and have the Shy grow a bigger lead. But they're being forced into a lot of hasty decisions because of the K.
Yeah, when we talk through the many different ways in which this series could play out, one of the ways that IG would most obviously come to a victory is if the Shy just demolishes Sword.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I think, the biggest thing we're seeing in this series. Yes, IG has been able to show patience. We've seen Chovy put on tanks to try and neutralize Rookie. But even with the first pick Jace, just Tarzan and Sword have not been able to keep up with the Shy and Ning. And the Kayle game, we saw it in Game 2. What we're seeing now is as close to the Kayle hard carry as we've seen.
And it's one of those things where it's not like the Shy solo has beaten Sword 1v1. It's that the very obvious plan of accelerating the Shy on a scaling champion has to be answered with cross-map plays or objective plays that Griffin haven't been able to pull off. Speaking of plays,
aggressively in the mid lane, trying to burn down Leona, and they will. The sun sets on Bao Lan. He's going to have to back off and respawn in 20 seconds, but what is there to take? You've got a 5v4, but Griffin can kill a ward only.
I got acquisition good from the side of Griffin, but as we were talking about, objectives behind that have not been possible for them. Shy backs already most of his way towards the Nashor's Tooth, and a pick into no objective. We've known for a couple years now. It has very little impact on the game.
Yeah, Tarzan would want to hit level 11. We're still yet to see that first Karthus ultimate of the game that would be in the more explosive team fights. Wait until he gets a bit more spell pen. Overall, still a good fight. They saw the Aatrox top lane. They knew that they could just send everyone mid lane. Even if they get the kill and no objective, there are no objectives coming up by the time their ultimates will be up again. So just a good job by Griffin to keep the gold close.
Commend Bao Lan for quick reflexes. Got the W on. Lannish will land the stun to turn on Aftershock. So survived another second and a half more than he would have. But all said and done, nothing IG could have answered with. They grabbed some farm. They barely saved the bottom outer turret. And we still come to this game state. Still 3,000 gold. Equal Drakes. But it's IG ahead. Money on the right champions. 167 CS on this Kayle, doing quite nicely. Hitting about 10 CS a minute on every player. Rookie got some alone time. Top side knocks down that turret now as well. 2-1 the turret score. Throwing the gold lead ever so slightly as the top river also seems to belong to Invictus Gaming.
And a very greedy purchase by Tarzan just now, going for the Medjais instead of completing the Oblivion Orb, which he would have been able to afford. Really hoping that they can find that one big team fight, because then he'd get the stacks on the Soul Stealer to break the game open.
It is actually the LCK way to play Karthus, is really early Medjais. Cuz was our best Karthus and would just rush it straight up in a game with no action over those items. So just feeling like they are going to get the fights with the amount of initiation they have, where if it profits, it profits big.
And it's interesting because it's tempered by the early Sorcerer's Elixir, right? He's trying to find power now and says, look, we only win if we win the next team fight. And if we win the next team fight, I'm getting 8 stacks on Medjais, and we're taking over the game. The Elixir is there to help make that happen, and this means that in Tarzan's mind, Drake spawning in 60 seconds is the series.
The poker analogy, he's all in. It
Yes.
does feel like when it comes to any a semblance of early to mid game. Yes, it could go 50 minutes and he'd get his items, but he's realistically all in.
Even little stuff like that, just to go back to the Shy, blocking the cannon CS from around the wall. He's trying to take every single advantage from Sword, but really it is about this control ward vision in the river and whether or not Griffin can get control, because the gold advantage is heavily in the favor of IG. IG is probably fine with the fight in the river, depending on who can get the initiation.
4,000 gold. Get your recalls in because there's no time left. 30 seconds till Drake spawns. Slowly but surely, Jackie Love takes down the Raptors, but he's going to join the team before too long. This will be the last mid lane wave that matters for the Drake take.
Important note, Viper doesn't have 2 items, is not comically far ahead like the last couple of games, so definitely going to be more difficult for him to repeat his penta-killing heroics.
Close rapid fire cannon, but not the combine. There is the bottom Scuttle Crab might just go the way of the Shy and Ning. They're going to actually go in for this play right now. Into the front line, a backwards ult for Chovy. Gets nothing, and the Shy takes down Lehens. The re-engage, though, could knock down Rookie, but no. Kayla's there to save the day. Jackie Love in, and he knocks down Sword. The knockup not as good for the Scion, and the push continues. Chovy getting pushed down. A double kill for the Kaisa. He's wearing his own skin, and they're going to walk right back in. Mid lane can be pushed down. Griffin only have 2 players alive.
You see the difficulty.
They're going for Baron.
Trying to play front line here for Lehens. Caught first, and that's why everything falls in. You're right, Jat. They're straight onto the Baron with the Kaisa and Kale. They can definitely kill it.
They've got the killer instinct. They've got the push in, but the health bars are so high. The Ocean Drake helping with that, and the extra lifesteal tools as well. There is no way Griffin stopped this. Tarzan puts down the vision, but the Baron's going to go to Invictus Gaming. They will not be reverse swept. They have a gigantic set of control. Tarzan goes down. The souls are gone. Majai's got nothing. Invictus Gaming have a stranglehold on this one, and they're looking for more. A knockup buys a bit of space, but looking to get one more kill into Lehens. Just barely gets back to the turret.
And this feels like the icing on the cake for IG. Not only winning that team fight, going straight for Baron, getting Tarzan, going back for the Infernal Drake. It's all just gone wrong for Griffin, and oh so right for IG.
And it's a really good read to force the Baron, because against some remaining members, even if you have a numbers disadvantage, Baron can be contested. But once again, it's Karthus. He can't walk up and try to make a Baron still happy. He can only throw down the wall. We'll get the replay here. Positioning as the Rakan is so hard in this game. They just go straight on top of it.
And here's where I hate the Soul Stealer from Karthus. If he has an Oblivion Orb and IG funnel into this choke point, you flash in, because you get to keep casting spells after you're dead, and they can look at how grouped up they are, but instead Tarzan flashes out. IG win the fight. They take the Baron, they kill him anyway, and I think they just won the series.
I think you might be right, but Jack, we saw Kog'Maw passive maximization, Karthus passive minimization. That was the decision that, again, it has been the Korean way. Looking for a catch here on Gragas.
A lot of damage on an Ing. That might just knock him down right here. He's waiting around with a stopwatch, and Tarzan gets the kill, gets some stacks back on. It's rated already by Kale, and now they go once again between the turrets. Griffin able to back up, but Rookie, he's running low, has to take the Kale, but they can re-engage on him. That could be a kill picked up. Oh my word, you've got to be kidding. He can't get it, Sword, and now Chovy could be pulled back, not quite though, and it's still IG somehow just barely coming ahead in the fight.
And Sword's so far behind, he does little damage, and the turn was intense onto that Jace as he queued in. IG can back away, but Griffin still have some mid-prio here. Desperately want to break mid lane tower, but unlikely to do it.
So much desperation, trying everything they can to get the fights. There's only 3 people here. Yes, they can probably even break this turret, but look at what the Kale is doing on the other side of the map. That just sack of gold the Shy has is just getting bigger.
Karthus just wanted to leave. He's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do over here against Baron buff Kale at level 14. 8,000 gold behind, but honestly, they probably still have to keep fighting or trying to force IG to group, because splitting ain't gonna work.
Well, back in game 1, they found those occasional picks, and there was just that little bit of overstep by IG, and the risks didn't pay off, and Griffin made it close. This, so, a much larger lead. The Baron buff still on for 50 seconds as turret number 5 drops. The gold lead stretched to almost 10,000.
We'll watch this fight one more time. Ning is caught clearing a ward, so a good engage by Griffin, but you can just see kind of the gold lead that IG has. Rookie's able to step in, Jackie Love can come over, and Tarzan this time does go in, but it's a little bit too little, too late. That zoning does help them get Rookie low. Watch the timing on this heal, though, from Rookie, getting the vamp from his own damage, and I think the Shy cast a heal on him as well, so able to stay alive and push him back in the fight.
And when we get out of the replay again, you see the damage of all of this. 3-item the Shy on KO, 5-0-3. We always talk about who's the best at certain champions, and certainly the Shy jumping forward on top lane Kale, and maybe just Kale in general.
Yeah, the Shy, I would say, best Kale I've seen this tournament. Invictus Gaming, the best team to play Kale this tournament as well. Both halves of it, I think, very relevant here. Attempted steal on the red buff. Jacqueline's going to try. Gets a glimpse. Not going to make that happen. Viper back onto that item. Viper again going third item defensive, but I think actually you can't do in a game state like this. I think you actually have to have a bit more damage. Not going to really change a lot, I don't think, but only 2 items is really where it's going to stay. Hexdrinker not going to do a whole lot from in a late game team fight. As Rookie could use to fight up there, and now the Shy just tower dive with impunity in front of his own Nexus solo kill.
Must just feel awful to be Griffin here. I think they understand the predicament they're in. I don't know if a Viper Pentakill or Super Play can change it. Well, the soul thrown out. It misses. Balan.
They find a stun backline. They're going to go right away. The Kale delivery is there. That's already 2 members dead. Griffin have 3 alive, and they're stuck inside their own base, and they're trapped with IG stuck in the pit. There's already 3 kills. They're having a flash behind their own Nexus. There is just nothing Griffin can do. The corpse of Chovy goes down.
And when IG want to, they can speed up the game. We know how far ahead the Shy is. We know IG has that massive lead. They know it too, and they're trying to end the game.
Big damage in the battle land. Nearly dies to Sword right here, but they're going to find another attempt. They're going to pull him back in. He's going to drop down as well. These weapons are so brittle, and IG push in. This, with the heal, is going to keep Battleland alive. They're going to try to buy some time, but it's not going to be enough. Invictus Gaming came to defend their world championship, and they're going to do just that, and they will knock down Griffin in the quarterfinals.
IG are our first team into the semifinals, 2 best-of-5s away from defending that world title.
And if it had been the 3-0, I think people might have drawn the attention onto Griffin and really inflated their struggles in big matches, but especially this Game 4 shows you what IG is about. Very convincing Game 4 victory where they allowed their bot lane to be at the whim. They played around the Shy, and the Shy led them to the promised land. They ran that whole gauntlet last year in Korea, and they get a well-deserved nod here to the fans and know that the semifinals awaits.
And I think this whole tournament, we've been asking the question of, is IG back? Is IG the IG that won the 2018 world title? They had such a bad summer split. Would they play well? I'm willing to say they're back and they're title contenders.
You saw the Summoners Cup behind them as they bowed to the crowd. We'll see them again in a week in the same city. We'll wait to see who's going to face them, but IG on form is such a scary team. You cannot count them out. And even though they had a rough summer split,